Hey there, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm showing how I made this fun slider pop-up card with this little volcano image from Heffy Doodle. I posted this on my Instagram a little while ago, and a lot of you were asking how I did it. So I thought the easiest way to show you guys how I created this card was to go ahead and create another one, and this time video it and kind of walk you through the process of how I created that cute little slider pop-up. So I'm going to be building my background here using this Brutus Monroe stencil. This is their January stencil of the month. They have a subscription where you can subscribe to get a stencil every month, and this one was for January. And I absolutely love all of these little hearts. I think they're so beautiful. And I thought it went well if I layered it behind this volcano because it kind of looks like an eruption of love. So I'm going ahead and I'm ink blending these hearts. This bottom color that I'm using here is Scarlet, and these are surface inks, so they will be permanent when dry, but they still blend beautifully, and they don't run when you put any kind of medium over the top of them. So I love these very vibrant inks when I'm doing some kind of layered kind of looks, because I can put glitter glaze over the top of them, I can put glue, I can put other things over the top of them, Nouveau drops, and they won't absorb that color and they won't smear. They're just going to stay where you put them. So I have some of that Scarlet on the bottom. I'm also blending on some Zest on the top, and where those two colors are going to meet, it's going to make sort of an orange hue. So I'm getting that gradient of color going from red to yellow. So I'm just making sure that I'm blending it on. It's a nice even color. I went ahead and I taped down my paper as well as my stencil. I just like to make sure both of them are secured so that they don't slip around when I'm ink blending and I get a nice stenciled background. So now I have all the stenciling done, all of the ink blending done. I'm just setting my inks aside, making sure the caps are on. And I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more color down here on the bottom just to make those red hearts really stand out. And then the fun part about pulling off your stencil is seeing what it looks like underneath, and I just love that background. So here I'm going to show you how I made sort of that little pull tab area on the top of my background. Now my background is 4 by 5 1/4, so it's slightly smaller than an A2 size card. And I'm taking this stitched circle die from Brutus Monroe, and this is the smallest one. And I'm going to cut half of the circle out of the top. I want to make sure I have it centered though, so I'm taking my ruler and I'm measuring at 2 inches on the top and on the bottom, and then I'm going to draw a very light line connecting those so that I know where the exact center of this card is. I don't have my heart lined up right in the center, but it's okay. It's a handmade card and it's not going to be perfect, and that's part of the charm of making your own cards. So I'm going ahead, I'm lining that circle up, and I'm just doing half of the circle, and then I'm going to go ahead and run it through my Platinum 6 and just cut that out. And that is going to create your little tab that you can pull your little slider on. So it makes this little divot on the top, and then you're going to keep that little piece that you cut out because that's going to be part of your pull tab. And I'm also going to go ahead and color it some of that Scarlet so it coordinates, and also so it stands out a little bit so that the recipient knows that they have to do something with this card. If you have a little arrow you could stamp on there or write pull on it, that would also help them know that they need to pull on that little slider to make their little volcano erupt. Now I'm going to show you how I made that little slider track. It's really easy. Since you already have the middle of your card marked out, go ahead and use your ruler and just cut a little slit, and then I turn it around and I cut on the other side. And I'm just cutting out a really small little slit in the center of this card that I can then put my slider track through. I did remove my mixed media mat before I cut because it is not self-healing. So if you cut on your mixed media mat, it's going to be cut through. So just remember that if you're using your Brutus Monroe mixed media mat, just don't cut on it. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish cutting out the rest of this little piece, And now I have made a slider track in the middle of my card. So now I'm making the little pull mechanism that goes behind. I just cut a strip of white cardstock that will fit into where I die cut that little pull tab. And it's the whole length of the card. And now I'm going ahead and I'm cutting a thinner piece of cardstock that I'm going to wrap around the bottom. Now this is the piece that's going to go through your slider track and that you're going to adhere whatever you want to pop up to. So go ahead and wrap it around your pull tab. Make sure you fold it over really nice. You want both of these sides to be folded over, and then go ahead and fold them over again in the middle so that they're going to kind of wrap around your little pull tab, but then meet in the middle so that they can then stick out. And you'll see what I mean here in a minute. It's always easier for me to see something to understand it than when I listen to someone talk about it, but you can see here that they wrap around and then they stick out. And so now you can put them through that slider track. And you're going to go ahead and adhere them and secure them down so they'll stay. But now you have those pieces of cardstock through your slider track, and you can add any kind of thing that you want to move on your card. In this case, I'm putting a little heart so that it can kind of pop out of the volcano. So now I'm just adhering that little piece of cardstock down so it will stay into place. And we're going to move on with creating the rest of our slider piece. So I'm going to go ahead and put it through. Just leave it there. Now those pieces are really long, but I'm going to trim them down. I just like to leave them long until I know how much I need, and then I'll trim them down afterwards. Now you can see that this piece is really kind of wiggly on the top. I want to secure it so that it stays in place when you're pulling it up and down. So I'm just going to make a little piece of cardstock that's going to wrap around and secure it into place. So I just cut a little piece of cardstock, didn't measure it or anything. This one nobody is going to see. It's just going to wrap around your slider piece and keep it from wiggling all over the place. So I put a little bit of adhesive on the back. I'm going to slide it down, make sure it's not showing in the front. And then I'm just going to wrap this cardstock around. Make sure I fold it around, and it's going to just keep that slider piece secure. Now there are dies that you can buy to make these pull cards. It makes it super simple. They cut out everything that you need. But since I don't do pull cards all that much, I thought I would just go ahead and do it myself and then just show all of you how you can do it without buying a die. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere down this little pull tab on the top now. And your pulling part of your card is almost complete. Now all I need to do is put my images on there and embellish and build my card, and that's basically it for the pull part. So I'm just going to adhere this down, and then I'm going to trim off that little piece on top that is sticking out. And there's a little bit on the bottom that I need to trim as well. So now the front of my card is basically done. You can see you can pull it up and down, and you can add anything on there that you'd like. This works for any kind of card that you want some kind of interaction element to. You could do a cute little animal, you could do anything you want really. In this case, I'm going to be using my stamp set that I got from Heffy Doodle. I think this is so cute with this volcano, and it is full of just adorable puns, and I just love puns. So I'm going to go ahead and make sort of a Valentine's Day card using this volcano and some of the puns that are in this set. I'm using my Brutus Monroe detail ink to stamp this out because I'm going to be coloring with my Style File alcohol markers, and this ink, once it's dry, works well with alcohol markers. It doesn't run at all. So I kind of skipped past all of the all of the coloring of my images. This video I wanted to focus more on the slider parts, so I kind of skipped over the coloring, but you get the idea. Just color it with your markers or any kind of medium you want. And I also have this little heart cut out. Just cut it out of black cardstock, and I am adhering it down now to my little slider parts. And you can see I trimmed down those little pieces to the perfect size to hold on to my heart. And since I have that adhered now, I'm going to put these little lava images, I'm going to glue them onto the heart so it looks like it's just erupting out of the volcano. I'm using some of my Brutus Monroe craft glue with a fine tip applicator. I love using this little bottled glue with this fine tip when I'm doing small pieces like this because it just gives you the right amount of glue. You don't make a mess everywhere, and it holds really well. This glue holds really well. It dries quickly, but not too quickly. It gives you a little bit of wiggle room to get everything into place before it's totally dry. Now I'm just going to adhere my volcano over my heart. I want to make sure that I have enough room for that heart to slide up and down freely without getting caught. So I'm actually going to double up on this foam adhesive. And you can see I'm lining up my volcano where I want it to go and to make sure that it has enough room for this heart to slide up and down without getting caught on the foam adhesive. So I'm just kind of eyeballing it, doubling up on that adhesive, and then I'm going to adhere it down over my little slider heart. So like I said, even if you're doing a different theme of a card, just if you have a big picture or image, like I have this volcano and you want something popping out of it behind, you can do this with any of your stamp sets. And if you do something like this slider card, I would absolutely love to see. Go ahead and tag me, or just let me know if you made one like this. I would love to see it because I think this would be a great kind of card to do with lots of different stamp sets. So now my card is basically done. I went ahead and I stamped a few things on there. I added the sentiment, embossed that "You Make Me So Happy" with Brutus Monroe's Gilded embossing powder. I thought that gold looked really well with the rest of the theme of this card. And now I'm going to add a little bit of foam adhesive on the back of this card panel. I thought it would be nice to pop it up a little bit so that that slider track doesn't get caught on the card base. It gives it some room to slide freely. Then all you have to do is adhere it down to your card base, and I'm using some Brutus Monroe Raven Black cardstock for a card base. So you have a little bit of that black peeking out around the sides, and you can see that it slides really well. Sometimes it gets stuck a little bit on the top of that volcano. I found that if you just kind of bend it out a little bit, it helps it slide freely. And now I'm just adding some black and white sequins around the lava and around the volcano, and my card is basically finished. So I hope this gives you some ideas to make your own slider pop-up card. It was really kind of fun and easy to do. The first one took me quite a while because I was figuring it out as I went. But this second one probably took me about 30 to 40 minutes just with all the stamping and the ink blending and everything. But once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy to do. Thanks for stopping by. I hope this gives you some great ideas and inspiration, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!